boys and girls, you're going to need to take out your packets again today. Our nonfiction passage, the smallest bird in the world. Take a little look at the picture here. Some of you may have even seen hummingbirds in your yard. I know they like feeders filled with really sweet water, sugar water. Hummingbirds are birds. Hummingbirds are very small. They are the smallest birds in the world. Hummingbirds are small, but they are good at flying. Hummingbirds can fly up, they can fly down. They can fly forward, they can fly backward. They can fly sideways. They can even fly upside down. To fly, a bird beats its wings. A hummingbird beats its wings very fast. It beats its wings faster than any other bird. How fast does a hummingbird beat its wings? Think about a second. A second is a very short time. A hummingbird beats its wings 80 times a second. A hummingbird must eat a lot. When it is awake, it must eat about every 12 minutes. This is because a hummingbird needs a lot of energy. It needs a lot of energy to beat its wings so fast. I know if you've ever seen them outside, they do beat their wings pretty quick. And they're so tiny. Our fiction passage, which is behind our nonfiction passage, is how hungry was Bee? And it's a funny picture down here, so I'm very curious to read this fiction passage. Bee was hungry. Bee said, "I am hungry. I am very hungry. I'm as hungry as a hummingbird." Bee's dad laughed. He said, "Bee, I think you meant to say something else. I think you meant to say, I'm as hungry as a bear." When people are very hungry, they say, "I'm as hungry as a bear." Bee said, "I said what I meant. I'm as hungry as a hummingbird. A bear is big. A hummingbird is small, but a hummingbird eats a lot. Think about how much you weigh. Could you eat half of what you weigh in a day? A hummingbird eats half of what it weighs in a day. A bear does not eat half of what it weighs in a day. To eat that much, hummingbirds eat all the time. They must eat about every 12 minutes. I want to eat very soon. I want to eat a lot. I'm as hungry as a hummingbird." Pretty interesting facts in that. Could you eat half of what you weigh in a day? I don't know. The passage behind it, show what you know. Question number 1. A hummingbird can beat its wings how many times in 1 second? 90 times, 40 times, 60 times, 80 times. So what I want you to do is go back into the passage and find about the hummingbird. How many times does it beat its wings in a second? Get out your highlighter to highlight that answer. It's in the 3rd paragraph. And the answer would be 80 seconds. So that would be D, 80 times. I'm sorry, not 80 seconds, 80 times in 1 second. How much does a hummingbird eat? Well, we just talked about that. That was funny. The hummingbird needs a lot of energy. And if we look in the 2nd passage, it's in the 3rd paragraph. There you go. So you want to highlight that answer. And the answer would be C, half of what it weighs in a day. which is funny. That's one of the facts that we just talked about, because I don't think I could eat half of what I weigh in a day. Question number 3 says both stories are about bee, bears, flying, or hummingbirds. What do you think both stories were about? D, hummingbirds. They both were about hummingbirds, even though one was nonfiction and one was fiction. Number 4, most likely B wants to eat soon because she is hungry and A, needs energy, B, is flying with her dad, C, weighs as much as a bear, D, eats every 12 minutes when she is awake. Why do you think she wants to eat? And this isn't in the passage. This would just be an answer. What do you think? Why, when you're hungry, what do you need? I picked A, needs energy. Number 5, a fact is true. A fact is not made up. What answer is a fact and not just part of the story? A, B said what she meant. B, B's dad laughed at B. C, a hummingbird can fly backward. D, B said, I'm as hungry as a hummingbird. Which is true? Something that's not made up, not just part of the story. What's a fact? And you might have to go back, look at both passages, and I found it. This is a hard one. I highlighted right here. They can fly backward. That's a fact. It's actually something that the bird can do. So it's not something made up. So what I highlighted was the bird can fly, the hummingbird can fly backward. Okay, when you flip over to the next section, it says practice your handwriting. Pick a word from one of the stories to write on the line below. Okay? And it can be just one word, best handwriting, not a sentence. I picked hummingbird. Number 7, list the ways hummingbirds can fly. You're going to have to go back to that passage where we just highlighted the part about them flying backward. And I'm going to write that as number 1, backward, because we just highlighted that. So I know that that's a fact. Then when you go back, you can look in that first paragraph from the first passage. And it tells you all of the ways that the hummingbird can fly. And fill that in. People talked in one of the 2 stories. List the people that talked. Who talked in one of the stories? And I only see 2 people writing, so I'm just going to put a scratch mark through the 3rd. Write 1 or more sentences that tell what each story is about. The smallest birds in the world is about what? And you want to end with your ending mark, which would probably be a period in the sentence. How hungry was B? You're going to write that is about a girl who and end with a period. Number 10, should people say I'm as hungry as a hummingbird? Why or why not? And you'll write yes or no, because, and think about that. Think about Bee and her dad, and do you want to eat that much food? So this is what I have. I'm going to show you my paper. You can freeze the video, check your answers. You might have something a little similar or a little different.